Bro, you watched the movie. History of the World. History of the World.
Oh, that. Okay, yeah, no. I remember almost nothing. That was so long ago, dude.
Okay, well, luckily for you,
Do not link it. I don't care.
I have it up currently.
Stop. Gotta be shitting me. God, we're recording. It's the first time in months. Why are you like this? God, I just willingly overpaid you as well. I could have kept you down there at $100, and this is how you fucking treat me?
Ah, yes.
This is how you treat me? God. Well, at least today is going to be a cathartic episode because I get to spend however long we're here ranting about how awful something I hate is. We're like actually starting now, by the way.
Okay.
And I feel like I'm entirely justified because the ship we're going to be covering today is one of the biggest jokes in all of sci-fi. Like, I genuinely don't know if there exists a bigger ship that gets introduced as this huge threat and then immediately becomes fodder, gets punked on by literally everything. This thing gets one-tapped by, like, a random planet with ion cannons. It gets clapped by a bunch different times by the main cast. You know, they find magical super weapons that blow it up. It gets styled on by everything. Literally gets got by a main character dropping a grenade. And to top it all off, the design is both really cool and really, really, really dumb at the same time, which makes everything worse, because I wanted to love this ship, but it literally can't even get the shape of a pyramid correct. It's got one too few many sides. Failed elementary geometry class, and I hate it. And for anyone wondering, we're talking about the Hatak. Pretty much the only ship used by the goa'uld system lords in the punching bag of space combat in the Stargate series. We'll be covering its history, how it's used, its stats, or as close as we can get to them, and then spend the rest of the video talking about and memeing on the ship in general, and all the specifics about it and stuff. But first, introductions. Generic greetings and welcome to Science Insanity, a channel dedicated to bringing my love of sci-fi and all its glory to you, the viewer. Along for the ride is my co-host, content fodder, and friend Steve, filling in as the comedic relief and sci-fi illiterate. It has been forever. Say hello, Steve.
Hello.
Wonderful. I didn't miss your intro.
We have not changed.
We have not changed.
We have not changed.
Not at all. How's the garbage room treating you? The new place doesn't have a basement, so moved you to the trash room and locked you up there.
Not good. Kind of stinks up here. Good news is it's not as damp.
Not as... All right, fair enough. Good to have you back or something. I don't know. Still in debate about that.
Or something, for sure.
Or something. Before we start, we also have a Discord, so if you're a fellow turbo nerd or sci-fi lover, check out our little community. Link in the description below. Now, let's dig into this ship. There are a few images there for reference in case you're wondering in the picture printer channel, and I got a few more in case you want to see more about what it looks like and stuff, but I think that should be fine for now. On the surface...
I'll try to not go off on my rant again, but...
What rant?
You know what rant. Don't make me say it.
Oh, God. No, just get out of here. So, on the surface, this ship looks really cool. Crazy space Egyptian flying battle pyramid, what's not to love. But the longer you look at it and the more you know about it, the more cursed it becomes. So to start with, let's go over its history. I think giving you some perspective on the scale we're working with here might be a little bit good. So the goa'uld Empire, or because the name is awful to say, we called them the ghouls the last time we were doing a video on Stargate. You remember that?
Gonna go with no.
Oh, come on, man. It was on the data list. It was out all the crazy beam weapons and teleporting nukes into people's ships. You don't remember that? Not at all?
My brain is fried.
Oh, come on, man. Why do you have to be microwave? Okay, so brief refresher. The goa'uld Empire, or the Goa'uld system lords, whatever, are unbelievably old. Individually, they're capable of living for thousands of years, and they transfer their host if the current body starts to deteriorate. They're parasitic. Do you want an image of them? Because I guarantee you've probably forgotten. They're creepy worms.
I remember this part about them transferring themselves, but yeah, sure. Go ahead and put up a picture of them.
There you go. Creepy worms. That's what they look like. They dig into your stomach and attach to your spinal cord or something, and then take over your body. They're a wonderful little nightmare fuel race.
Understandable.
They've got that classic, like, toll booth empire, Holy Roman Empire thing going on.
Toll booth empire?
Do you see the map that was posted there? Do you see all the different colors?
Yes, I do.
It's a toll booth empire. Every petty lord has their own planet that they control, and they're like constantly fighting with other people, but they're all quote-unquote part of the same goa'uld empire. Even though, like, the only thing that they do is fight each other 90% of the time. That's why. So it's pure chaos. The Imperial fiefdoms have spread incredibly far across the galaxy. That map also gives you decent scale for how far-reaching it is. It's like 3/4 of the entire Milky Way galaxy, and they've dug their roots deep wherever they go. And the ship we're talking about today, the Hatak, is the de facto face of their military for the vast majority of their empire's history. And while that sounds really cool, once you kind of start to think about it, you realize, like, these are some of the dumbest, laziest, egotistical morons to ever curse the stars with their presence. Literal worms, so expecting much out of them is kind of a dumb idea. The Goa'uld Empire is 20,000 years old, closer to 25,000 years, I think, and while the first few thousand still had them confined to their local systems, they were interstellar for easily 20 of those 25,000 years. They existed well before human civilization got beyond living in caves and, like, eating dirt to survive.
Okay.
And the ship, this ship that we're talking about, is what helped them push out and conquer, like, the entire galaxy. And like I said, that's cool. But it has barely been upgraded at all, or iterated upon at all, over that time. For 10,000 years, pretty much. Like half their empire's existence. 10,000 years. And these clowns couldn't manage to add a few extra guns, or put a bigger reactor into it, or even give it a different paint scheme. It's just literally nothing has changed.
Hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It might be broke, I don't know. But if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It's incredibly broke, man. It's like glass bones and paper skin level of broke. There are reasons in the series that quote-unquote justify that, but they're stupid reasons, so I've elected to ignore them until later.
They're not actually reasons.
I mean, to be fair, like, America seems to be trying to outdo the Goa'uld here. The M2 Browning is probably going to be around in 10,000 years as well, so who am I to judge? You know?
I mean, the Enterprise was only around 50, so...
I mean, here's the thing, though, right? Like, sci-fi does this all the time. This is one of the worst tropes that sci-fi has, and it's when the writers have, like, no concept of time or how much can happen in a few years, much less a few hundred, much less a few tens of thousands. Like, I've heard people who've never got into Battletech is another universe, for example, where they're like, they don't believe that there's much story potential that exists there because it encompasses, like, 1,000 years total. Mostly those are 40K fans, but, like, a lot. Frankly, a hilarious amount of people think that. And have you seen how much shit changes just from, like, the 1920s to now? Like, 100 years? It's insane.
We went from first flight to on the moon in like 60 years, so...
Yeah, it's insane. Like, the world's unrecognizable mostly from what it was 100 years ago. And then you look at this setting and it's like 10,000 years. It was basically like the whole universe was put on pause until the main characters showed up. It's a little bit ridiculous. Now, this may seem like a pointless nitpick to start off on, but it really is, like, immersion breaking when you learn about it, because the main characters in Earth, over the course of the series, like 3 years, 4 years, ascend into becoming the new hyperpower of the Milky Way, and it just feels absolutely ridiculous with how shafted this ship and the Goa'uld become. It's like they're a giant house of cards or rotten house, and they crumble the moment you kick the door down, like a stiff breeze, and everything falls apart. But they're portrayed early on as, like, the big threat and the bad guys, but it's almost comical how hard they go down. So with that pointless, angry waffle out of the way, let's talk about the thing's actual history. The Hatak would start out as an exclusively Goa'uld design. They're the ones that built it, they created it, whatever, serving them as the face of oppression and force throughout the Empire, because believe it or not, it wasn't actually really used for mainline space combat. That was kind of an afterthought that they shoehorned it into. Seen as both an honor and symbol of a system lord's power, the Hatak would cement itself as the ego-enhancing chariot of many a petty warlord and a mighty imperial emperor alike. They decorated its interiors with ridiculously lavish treasures, disgusting opulence, and the stolen relics of like 1,000 worlds.
Oh, so they're British.
I didn't think about that until you just said it, but the joke was right there. The joke was right there, and I didn't make it. Thank you, Steve.
Well, you know what? They could be... No, never mind. I'll try to hold off on it for a bit longer.
You better not have been about to say what I think you were going to say.
I definitely was. For any of you that have seen History of the World Part 1, you already know.
Back on track, ignoring that incredibly pointless diversion, but over time that would change. Like, the early days of the ship had it treated as a status symbol, but as the ship began to enter mass production and eventually, like, encompass the entirety of all Goa'uld ships ever, because that's the other thing, they don't have any other capital ships, it's literally just this. This is all they have. If these things fail, they got literally nothing else. There is no plan B. Plan B is make sure Plan A doesn't fail.
That's a pretty good plan B if we're being honest, but...
The ship became so common that eventually everybody had their hands on it, so while the system lords still trotted around in their stupid gold-plated yachts, even random grunts and nobodies would end up bulking out the fleets and flying these things around as their captains. While there are no widespread modifications of the ship, like I said, there are a few one-off changes and unique alterations that have been made by individual system lords. Sometimes they're as stupid as sacrificing all the cargo capacity so they can make huge luxury penthouses for themselves, and sometimes it's to make it an actually more competent warship, but for the most part it's just the bog standard you get. If you're not happy with it, it's fine. You can get it in any color you want, so long as that color is gold and black.
Very Henry Ford of you.
The only really interesting thing of note to discuss is, the Goa'uld getting their dick slapped by the Asgard. Do you remember them at all? Do I need to refresh your memory on them?
The Asgards? Yeah, no, weren't they some Norse mythology?
Yes, they became the gods of Norse mythology, but they're like the stereotypical Martian-looking ass. Let me get you some images because you clearly don't remember.
Oh, these guys.
Yeah, these guys. They're the hyper-advanced dudes, and the Goa'uld were the most advanced empire in the Milky Way. And the Asgard showed up from another galaxy very far away and basically went, all of this is trash, you're trash, you live in a dumpster, your house is a dumpster, and you're trash. And then they burned down a whole bunch of Goa'uld shipyards, blew up a countless bunch of their ships, and then just went, don't fuck with the planets we said are protected, and then left again.
Understandable.
Yeah, they had no hope in hell of even standing up to the Asgard. Which is really funny, because again, they had 10,000 years to figure that problem out, but they just didn't. They did nothing, even though they were getting absolutely slapped around by another empire.
Well, they didn't feel the need to, they had to do something, okay? They were okay with being slapped around.
I don't know, man. They are worms. Dump a few birds into their enclosure and you'll probably wipe out the whole race, whatever.
Exactly.
Figures that they wouldn't be able to figure anything. They don't even have opposable limbs. How did this race even crawl out of the primordial soup and do anything? They're literally just worms.
Nah, not the soup. Not the soup making a return again.
It's an old meme. It's an old meme, but it checks out. We have Kerensky soup stock from BattleTech. We can have Goa'uld soup stock as well from this one.
Oh yeah.
Except instead of Kerensky's soup stock making you like a super soldier and being the best thing ever, this is just sad. It's like getting chicken noodle soup and finding out there's no noodles and chicken. It's just broth. But where the ship's history actually picks up is once the series starts off proper. We see the ship begin in its classic role, the overpowered symbol of oppression and power that brought entire worlds to heel by itself, but relatively quickly we begin to see the cracks in the ship's armor and the reputation of the system lords starts to fall apart. Relatively early on in the series, the Hatak began to find itself challenged and pushed on multiple fronts. Factions like the Tolans, who are just humans, possessing powerful and advanced ion cannons, basically wiped out an entire Goa'uld fleet when they dropped into orbit and said, "Get off our lawn." There are ancient weapons that are left over all over the galaxy and, once again, are of human design, pretty much. And they completely bypassed the Hatak's shields, literally just ripped them in half like they were made of paper. Not even a problem.
What shields?
Actually, if I remember correctly, I don't think they cared about the shields at all. The shields didn't even activate to stop them. They just flew right through them like they weren't there and then blew up the ship behind them.
Very, very strong ship design.
Oh, don't worry, it's gonna get worse.
Oh, God.
There are other problems as well, like the internals and the actual operations of the crew are so incredibly bad and there's so many flaws that time and again we see sabotage and subterfuge cripple these ships. Going back to that case before, one of the ships literally had its entire shield system crippled because a dude hucked a grenade into the engine compartment. Not even into the machinery proper.
No, just in the compartment.
Yeah, just in the engine compartment, and the whole thing just stopped working. It's not even like the bricks of C4 that people like to meme that Stargate carries around. It was just a regular-ass frag grenade. As the years went on, this ship found itself pushed harder and harder from all sides as various independent systems, new rising powers, and old enemies actually started developing weapons and technology that could defeat it. And as it turns out, they didn't really need to develop much because, as soon as you move past the industrial age into the space age, you're 80% of the way there to hard countering this ship. Because in the span of 2 years, Earth was already slapping them around regularly. And this is when we really get to see what this thing is. It is a failure. It's an ego project. It's a shiny paper tiger or a house of cards. Whether it was hampered by its own technological incompetence, mistrust, and infighting from the Goa'uld system lords, or just simply because this thing was terribly designed from the ground up, none of the multitude of upgrades and refits and stuff that we see ever managed to accomplish anything. Some of those modifiers that I was talking about was, they gave it a way better shield. One of the Asgard one of the Asgard ships drops out, a Bilskirnir mothership, the really big one in that image I showed you, starts firing at a Hatak, and the shields are perfectly fine. They don't really do anything, right? It's immune to the weapons fire. And that system lord, congratulations, you did a great job. You improved the shields, finally. Except that the Hatak still couldn't do anything because they didn't improve the weapons. And while the Asgard were functionally indestructible to the Hatak was only resistant to Asgard weapons. And eventually they just sat there shooting at each other until the Asgard still won anyways, because lol, Lamau, bigger ship, better shields, better guns, get wrecked.
Skill dipped.
And then you run into other issues where there was one case where they added a cloaking device to the ship for some ungodly reason, I don't know why, that could turn it functionally invisible. The system lords, being the geniuses that they are, didn't employ it in like a surprise attack ambush. They used it to fly through a minefield and started hitting mines because
Oh, that is okay.
Yeah, it's great. And you know what the really funny thing is? They didn't even make use of the stealth. If I remember correctly, I think one of their ships hit a mine, the one that the big bad leader of the fleet was on. And then instead of sending all the other ships forward while they're cloaked to outposition or flank the enemy, because the enemy was aware of it, the mines are detonated, there's someone there, clearly. They decloak all the Hataks and just attack straight forward from the front. And you're like, what are you idiots doing? What is the point of this? Why did you even put a cloak on it if you're just going to turn it off before you get into combat? What is, you see what I mean? It's incomprehensible. This ship is...
In terms of thoughts, we have no thoughts.
It's ridiculous. Even the very best that the system lords can come up with to use this ship or the technologies and stuff, they do nothing. One of the reasons, though, that these different upgrades kept failing is because, like I mentioned, Tollbooth Empire, Holy Roman Empire, nobody trusts anyone. The system lords are the most backstabby of all cartoonishly backstabby villains I think I've ever seen. They will actively start civil wars with one another just because it's funny, and if one system lord is getting clapped by an existential threat, like the replicators. You remember the replicators?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, you remember them, right? So the replicators are invading, and the Goa'uld are still killing each other, fighting over territory. Guys,
okay.
The apocalypse is here. The end of the universe is here. The mechanical menace is literally eating your walls and floor. Could you maybe stop trying to stab one another in the back? Minutes?
No.
So they never shared any of this technology. If one system lord created a new advancement, like their shields are immune to the Toland's special ion cannons, or resistant to Asgard weapons, or they've got a new hyperdrive or a cloaking device, they just never shared it. The technology died with that system lord that pioneered it, or in some cases died with the specific ship it was installed on when it was destroyed. They didn't even bother to save that shit to a PDF. No, they just modified the ship, and then if it gets blown up, everyone that knew anything about it was on the ship with it, so hey presto, there it goes, it's gone. You don't have to worry about that happening later on in the series. When the series is actually happening, the history of the Hatak is to progressively become more of a joke as they try more and more desperate upgrades to the ship that don't work. They forget about them, and then they move on to go do something else that's inevitably going to fail as well. And this brings us really to the downfall of the ship, because as the Goa'uld system lords began to fall apart, they crumbled away as their empire rotted, the Hatak went right along with it. Do you know who the Jaffa are?
No. Going with no.
The Goa'uld are the symbiotes. They're those evil worms. The Jaffa are essentially hosts that are carrying immature symbiotes, and or not fully formed symbiotes, something like that. And they serve as the slaves and soldiers, foot soldiers of the Goa'uld. Mostly entirely loyal. They're brainwashed religious fanatics, that kind of thing. The Jaffa started a rebellion en masse, and crippled multiple system lords basically overnight. There's another faction called the Lucian Alliance. They're basically just crime lords. Imagine like every narcotics gang and all of these drug smugglers and every like mafia you've ever seen ever, and then slam them all together in one big alliance, and they stole a whole bunch of this ship. They crippled a whole bunch of these ships. They were just running circles around the Goa'uld forever. That's not even to talk about the replicators, who didn't give a single shit about this ship or its capabilities. Every single time they ran into them, they just yoinked them. Like, they managed to steal hundreds, if not thousands, over the course of their scouring of the galaxy. Like, every time they see them, they're just like, ooh, piece of candy, just taking ships every time. The Goa'uld don't learn.
They, in fact, did not learn.
Yeah, the Hatak can't do literally anything against anyone. Just throw more numbers at the replicators, because it's not like they'll eat your technology and then come back even stronger next time. They're mechanical zombies, man. They're literally technical zombies. 1 becomes 2, becomes 4, becomes a whole fucking lot more before you know what's happened. Why would you keep throwing your fort? Nah, whatever. Stop ranting. Stop. They don't deserve it. They don't deserve your time. Just get on with the lore side. There's also another faction called the Ori, which there's a ship in here. If you scroll up a little bit, you see the one that's got like the white glowing sun in the concentric rings.
Oh, that one. Okay, yeah. Okay.
So the Ori are like really the Hatak is worthless moment, because up until the Ori show up, you generally see like more advanced factions kick the shit out of them, and you see like really clever and creative ways of dealing with them. But then the Ori show up and they literally just bulldozer through everything. Like, because the replicators are also the existential threat, right? They're not really like proper enemy, they're the endless silver tide. But the Ori are a proper enemy that you can fight in space combat, and they line up a whole bunch of Hataks to like stop the invasion of the galaxy. And the very first Ori ship through literally just vaporizes like 4. Fires its main weapon 4 times. 4 Hataks die.
I mean, it's pretty good kill ratio right there, I tell you. Pretty good accuracy, too.
It's more like a dozen kills to no deaths kind of thing, because the only factions that can like stand up to the Ori are the upgraded human ships, because of course it is.
Of course. Certainly.
Remember we talked about it, like once they get their beam weapons, once they install the blue meme beams of death on the human ships, the difference in ship power is so ridiculous at this point in the series that the Hatak may as well just be a garbage barge, like a fire ship. Actually, I think I have the wiki open. It describes the Hatak exactly like this, and confirming my opinions.
Was out here confirming opinions.
The ship became the punching bag of the galaxy. All the lore stuff is like, yeah, the ship's worthless. And I have no idea where I heard this quote from. Like, it's just been living in my head for years, or what YouTube video I saw, whatever. But another creator that I watched forever ago described it perfectly. He compared the Hatak to the human ship, the Daedalus. And he was like, the Hatak is meant to scare your enemy, to intimidate them, and then to die gloriously. The Daedalus is meant to beat their ass 6 ways to Sunday and come out the other side better than it went in. They just exist to get their teeth punched in.
It's a sad existence, but someone has to do it.
After we've gone through the history, that was very heavily memed and incredibly difficult to deal with, because really it didn't do much. It just kind of hung around and then died once the series started. So there's not much I can really talk about for its performance and its history in the setting. But you want to talk about some technical stats and stuff? Because I feel like we need a palate cleanser of pure stupid after talking about the lore like that.
Yes, please. Give me all the stupid,
yeah,
please.
So after we made that video on the Daedalus like a really long time ago, people got mad about the dimensions I provided because they're not accurate. And this is one of those things that Stargate is just really, really bad with, because they have no idea what they're doing. Like, meta in real life, the creators have no idea what the scale of their universe is. To all the angry nerds out there, I am aware. I cannot find accurate sizes. There is nothing out there that is consistent. It doesn't fit. Just roll with it, because it's funny. If you've got some fan-made thing, whatever, like, post it in the comments, let me know about that. But like, everything is wrong, and it's that way by design, so just roll with it. So this ship comes in at 315 meters tall, which isn't really that big considering the dimensions we had for the Daedalus. This thing is kind of tiny at that height, but whatever. The best part is, like, you see how in a lot of these images it looks vaguely round? Like, it's obviously a 3-sided triangle thing, but the frame that comes off of it, that black segment, it looks kind of round, right? Like, you could kind of assume it's the same dimensions all round, but it's not. I have no idea, like, where this side is, what side this is talking about, but it's 700 meters long and 650 meters wide, which means it's fucking oblong. They built it slightly oblong for no reason, and I don't know why, but it makes me so angry to know that.
I think it was just to piss everyone off. It had to have been.
It's so dumb. Like, it's like I said, the more you learn about this ship, the longer we go on, the more cursed it gets, and the more angry I get that it exists. So the ship comes equipped with 2 engine systems, sublight thrusters that allow the Hatak to slowly meander its way towards a target or fail to evade incoming weapons fire. While it is described as being fairly fast in the setting, that's a lie. Every time we see it on screen, it's always like waiting there to be murdered. It's like a lamb being led to slaughter. If the enemy is closing on it, it's desperately trying to run away like an out-of-breath asthmatic, and it's not working. If it's trying to chase targets down, it can barely move. It just hovers there angrily or intimidatingly and hopes that you don't try to run away or chase after it, because then it's pretty screwed.
Maybe you should be more like a possum and just start like playing dead. Hopefully they won't attack it.
Oh my god, Steve, that's an actual strategy. We'll get into that, don't worry.
Oh my god.
Don't worry, although this ship takes playing dead to a whole new level, but
it's not playing when it is.
we'll get into that. We'll get into that. As for the FTL system, it's pretty mid. Like, they can move between solar systems in a matter of hours, and they can move across the galaxy in a few weeks, maybe a month or two, so nothing really special, but considering that we've seen the human ships, like, canonically move at like 400, 500 times the speed of light and just yeet themselves across the universe to different galaxies, it's not really that impressive. We don't have any concrete numbers, unfortunately. That's just not something that the creators ever cared about, but we do know that they're reasonably quick, enough to form these larger empires that you saw in the galaxy map. As for weapons, if you look at some of the above ones, has 60 staff cannons. Do you know what the staffs are? Why am I asking? Of course you don't.
Does it shoot a staff at somebody?
That's not a bad guess, but it's still dumb, so no. Ignore the snakehead. We'll talk about that during a dedicated episode when we discuss the system lords and the goa'uld and stuff.
They really are just Egyptian.
Yeah,
okay.
It's
why is Predator in here? What the hell? Crossover.
Just ignore it. It's fine. Just don't look at it. Don't look at it. It's dumb. It's stupid. Just forget it. So that staff, it is an energy weapon. A lot of the Jaffa use it like a melee weapon, so they've got the tendency to just run up and smack you with it, which is really funny. So these fire a concentrated blast of orange energy, and they do about as much damage as like a 9mm pistol, basically, but way more flashy, so they're pretty garbage. And what the goa'uld did was, instead of inventing like a genuine actual weapon, they just made it really, really big. Let me grab you a picture of a staff cannon to kind of show you what I mean. So you see how the head opens up? It's got like that 4-way prong thing. This is a staff cannon, much, much bigger, and it's basically just this. They basically just have 60 of those strapped aboard the ship, which is miserable because they don't do anything, like I've talked about. They are absolutely god-awful.
That, animation budget?
Yeah, it's not... Again, it's an old series. It's televised science fiction. Just ignore it.
Not even the movie. It's just the TV series. There actually is zero budget.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes, the good old Top Gun reverse the footage.
In terms of money, we have no money. These weapons, like I've said a million times, they're not very good, and against shields, they're consistently shown to do dick all. The Asgard, the Ori, the upgraded human ships, like, they just shrug off these staff cannon blasts like a light breeze. However, ironically enough, we can use them to measure the strength of the shields. The fandom has actually done this. On average, they've counted how many shots it takes from these staff cannons to blow up another Hatak, and it's hilarious. So the ships have 60 of these guns, okay? 60 of them, keep in mind.
Okay.
The shields can take 10 shots, and then the 11th or 12th shot is probably gonna blow the ship up.
Bruh, okay.
Do you understand what this means, Steve?
No.
Seconds. The Hatak is a ship that cannot even survive combat with itself for more than a few seconds of sustained fire. They are dying in droves. Like, they're dying as fast as you'd expect, like, ants to in one of those giant wars. They just drop like flies.
Alright, if they want to imitate the Russians, they can, okay? I don't see why we're hating on them.
Because this is an advanced spacefaring empire. They had 10,000 years to do something better, and they did nothing. What were they doing?
They determined it was not broke, so they did not have to fix it. Also, worms, so, I mean...
God, it's just it makes me so irrationally angry. There's a series from another creator called Sci-Fi Empires Too Stupid to Exist. This is absolutely one of them. It shouldn't exist. They're so dumb.
This would be number 1.
It should be number 1. So, long story short, the Hatak's weapons and shields are awful. They're really only good at stopping less advanced weapon systems like ballistic missiles and stuff, but even then there are plenty of ways to bypass them. The only thing I think deserves any form of special attention are the hangar bays that this thing has, because they're really the only part of the Hatak that's actually good, and it feels like it's an accident. So on the bottom part of the pyramid section, the actual base part of it, the Hatak has multiple hangar bays where it carries its fighters and bombers, right? Carries 12 wings of death gliders and 3 wings of Alkeshes or whatever. We see in the show that each hangar bay has like 4 walkways that the Jaffa use to get to the fighters and stuff. Each row has what looks like 6 gliders in it. And this might be entirely wrong because, again, there's no solid numbers for these. Nobody ever bothered to actually put a number to it. And it's based on the limited perspectives we have of what we've seen of the hangars, and me kind of comparing it to what we've seen of big space battles, the very few of them that there are. And so it's somewhere in the ballpark of 72 odd death gliders per Hatak. And if you don't know what a death glider is, do you want an image? I assume you do.
Yes, please.
You ready to see the flying space boomerang?
I am. Hey, that seems familiar. I don't know where I might have seen this one before.
Are you making a joke right now, or are you actually
Yes,
referencing? Okay.
it actually looks familiar. Do you not? Does it not?
We've talked
Am I
about
tripping right now?
No, we've talked about this before.
No.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, and in the data list video, we talked about the F302,
Okay.
which looks very similar. We've talked about the death glider in it.
Okay. I'm gonna shut up and look it up. Anyway, go watch the other video.
That is the most awkward and low
we'll
energy.
Get there eventually.
That is the most awkward, low energy shill I've ever heard. But thank you for at least trying, Steve.
I'm still trying to look up this other one.
What are you even looking up? What?
I don't know. I'm not saying it because it's not gonna get cut if I sound like an idiot. So.
What are you searching for?
It looks like a fucking ship from Star Trek.
Christ, the Romulan warbird.
That's it. Bro, I told you my brain is fried. What is it?
No, that's not.
No, it's the Star Wars speeder.
What?
Not the actual speeder, but okay.
What are you even?
Bro, I will find it, and you will get an image of it after this video is over.
I'm a massive nerd, and I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't know. It just looks very familiar to me.
It's like a flying wing design. That's one of the most common. Oh, okay.
Yes, I know, but with those 2 rods sticking out specifically, I don't know what I'm thinking of for it.
Are you okay? Are you having a breakdown?
No, I am not okay.
Do you need to go back to bed? Is old man Steve cranky?
Yes. Next. Oh, there it is. The T-47. It's the somewhat close thing that I was thinking of.
Alright, this better be... Are you shitting me? That's what you compare it to? That's whatever... Oh my... Steve.
Leave me alone.
Steve, why are you like this?
Because I am...
They're not even the same shape!
Roughly.
What do you mean If you mean that they both fly and they both have like 2 cannons coming off the front, yeah, they're the same
yes!
shape. I'll give you that.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
That's all my brain can comprehend currently.
Fair enough.
Bro, you know how fried my brain is currently.
I don't understand how it's literally this bad that you're getting basic shapes mixed up. Like, I know this ship that we're talking about, it failed the geometry class because like it's a pyramid with 3 sides and the base. As just wrong.
It's 3 sides and a base, but it's also not symmetrical.
Yeah, it's why isn't it some? Oh, stop! I need to stop. I need to control myself. Don't get mad. We got to get back on track. This has been a massive distraction. It also carries 6 bombers. Carries 3 wings of Alkesh bombers. Let me get you a picture of this unbelievably fat. These things are massive. Like they are enormous. And canonically, they should not be able to fit inside of a Hatak, but apparently it carries 3 wings of them, and divided up into the 3 hangars, let's just, like, it goes with 6. We'll just say it's 6. And for anyone wondering, Sai, where are you pulling these numbers out of? What are you using for your basis?
His ass.
That's literally the note I have on my script, my jot notes. It literally says, where are you getting this information? I'm pulling it out of my shiny metal ass. I'm just making it up as I go. I'm basically just going off of what we see and trying to roughly put them together to get some kind of info.
Cue the Metal Gear meme. Source, I made it the fuck up.
What's your source? I made it the fuck up. That's because, again, like, I hate that about the series. There's literally no concrete information about anything. Canon and consistency is a dirty word, and they throw them out at the first convenience to just do things that are cool. Like I was saying, though, the hangars are really the only part about this ship that's good. Carries, like, over 70 fighter craft and, like, 6 huge bombers/attack craft. That's pretty good. It's about the closest any of the ships in the setting actually get to being, like, carriers. We don't talk about the Wraith Hive, though. Don't bring that up in the comments. Just let the Hatak have this 1W. It really needs it. A little earlier, we talked about the ship playing dead, right? We're getting to that segment now. So, You see, some ships in the setting, they got special features, like they can teleport intruders outside into space, just let them suffocate. Some ships have, like, point defense grids or whatever to stop boarding actions or shoot down incoming projectiles and stuff. The Hatak, though, it goes a little more scorched earth. Its countermeasure system, you know what, hang on. It's special strategy. What do you think it is, based on what we've discussed earlier, Steve?
To lose all power somehow.
It's significantly worse.
To implode.
You're correct.
No.
I don't understand why it's written like this. I don't even know where this came from, but it was on the wiki, so I'm going to choose to believe it's true because it's really funny. Under the countermeasures section, where it describes how the ship can deal with oncoming enemy threats, it literally just says self-destruct. So the ship's immediate reaction to things going wrong is to just blow up. Its countermeasure system is to fucking explode.
I mean, that's pretty effective. I don't know how reusable it is.
It's kind of a one-off thing. Like, I imagine a random captain's getting overwhelmed in battle and is just like, oh god, oh fuck, oh shit, oh no, activate countermeasures. The ship just randomly vaporizes, and the Goa'uld are like, man, screw your KD ratio, I'm leaving.
They have an escape pod in there, right?
No, they don't.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to help them out here. They aren't helping me help them, no.
I mean, if it makes you laugh, they've got a sarcophagus on the bridge.
No, that seems about accurate.
Prepared for the afterlife. It's
I mean, that's just what they hop in there right after they initiate the self-destruction.
It's bad. It's pretty bad. Actually, talking about the sarcophagus, though, we might as well give up on any pretense for this being a serious video or following, like, those initial categories I set out.
Oh, we were following them?
Shit. Sort of, very loosely. But the sarcophagus that these things have, it's not actually, like, it's not to crawl into a hole and die. It is to save your life. Because this is the most advanced piece of technology I think exists for the Goa'uld, and it's essentially like an immortality device. If you're about to die, or if you're, like, already dead, but very recently dead, they can throw your corpse in here and bring you back to life.
What?
Yeah, there are examples where somebody was thrown in this, and it kept them alive for, like, 5,000 years, while a parasite was eating them alive the entire time.
Huh?
Yeah, they didn't die until it ran out of power. This thing can keep you alive through almost anything. It's black magic. And the funniest part is, at first, before I learned, like, where it came from in this series, I was like, why is this randomly the most advanced thing that the Goa'uld have? Why do they have all this random backwards crap, but this thing seems to defy death itself? It's because they stole it from another alien race. They just copied they copied the design.
Really are the Brits. Really are the Brits.
The Pharaoh's curse is that the Pharaoh comes back to life. It does pretty much everything, but unless people want me to sit here for literal hours discussing each and every use that the ship has, and then ending that segment with the statement, it could do it, but not well, I don't know what else I could even say.
Well, you could do that, but not well. But, you're welcome.
That was
Next.
That was so bad. Yeah, that was almost as bad as this ship. Thanks for that. And that is
You are absolutely welcome.
That is yeah, I have pretty much nothing else to say this episode. This has left me so unreasonably drained. Normally I come off the end being like a little worked up just because it's a lot of talking, but no, I'm so done. I'm so done with everything about this. Next episode might be talking about the System Lords, and I can show you more of their stupid snake heads and we can laugh at it, but
Outstanding.
there's not much else to say, not much else to do, so before we end off, I'm decided by the way, Steve, you haven't been around for a while. We've changed the patron thanks, and we've moved the begging for likes and subscribes to the end, because to the viewers, if you have made it this far in the video, you are clearly the target audience and or really dumb for listening to us for this long. So consider leaving a like, subscribing, helping the channel out a little bit, because it really does help a smaller channel like this fight the YouTube algorithm, especially when we make more niche content. Our niche content being two idiots talking about really dumb space sci-fi shit. And to the people going above and beyond to support the channel, a huge thanks to all of Sai's patrons. The gullible idiot, I mean generous saints donating to my Staying Alive fund. The arms dealers who've provided all of the toys in today's discussions, from the Hatak to all of the weapons and stuff we discussed. The food merchants who finally managed to resurrect my missing co-host from the dead and bring him back to us. And the coffee vendors supplying me with an unlimited amount of double doubles to keep me editing long into the night. And to the new guys, a huge thanks to Drew Dyerwood, CDF, and N Commander. All of you guys are greatly appreciated. Thank you very much for your support. Hope it'll continue in the future. Any kind parting words for the people who resurrected you, Steve?
I am back for the foreseeable future once again, meaning I will somehow manage to not be on next week's episode, but yeah, appreciate y'all sticking around in my absence. We know you're really here for me.
Your absence of like 2 months.
Yes.
Oh my god. Anyways, outros are hard. That's about it. Goodbye.